introduction. So, let me begin about some information on Johnny Gruelle. He was born Christmas Day, or Christmas Eve, in 1880. His father and brother were both artists. His sister was a dancer and a concert singer. And him and his wife have 3 children, Marcella, Worth, and Richard. If I'm correct? Yes, Richard. Marcella, she suffered from a long-term illness from a smallpox vaccination. Unfortunately, she died at the age of 13. And she died, but during her illness, she had found a rag doll up in her grandmother's attic. And Mr. Johnny, her father, made stories, or told her stories with these rag dolls, or with the rag doll. But when she died at the age of 13 in 1916, Raggedy Ann, as he called her, became his constant companion. So Johnny started, he actually was a trained political cartoonist. So that was his profession by trade. But then when his daughter died, he started to produce these. And Johnny himself died on January the 8th, 1938, of a massive heart attack. Okay. Gruelle, Johnny registered Ann as a trademark in 1915. The patent was granted on September the 7th, 1915. Volland published Raggedy Ann stories in 1918 as well. Johnny wrote 25 books about Raggedy Ann and her adventures before his death in 1935. And I have some of the books right here. This was my first one. I do have a dust jacket at home. But I love the illustrations on the inside.
Where do you find them?
Oh, I got this one at a box lot from another Raggedy collector. And I bought these at an antique store in Indiana.
That Indiana really comes in handy for you. You have bought a lot of things out there.
Yeah.
And yes, I have. Well, when you're up there, when you're in Indiana, there's not much to do but antique stores, right, Mom?
Mm-hmm. Amish flea market.
Yes.
Auction at Shipshewana.
The first Raggedy Anns were made by the Gruelle family themselves. They produced about 200 of them before they passed over the rights to Volland. And Raggedy Andy first appeared in 1920. The legend of that was a friend of his mother's, a childhood friend of his mother's, came into his office and said that her mother was the one that created the rag doll and that had created a boy for her as well. And she pulled the doll out of her bag and gave it to him and said that she was happy to see the 2 dolls together. So that's the legend, really no proof. But it's still a nice story. So there became Raggedy Ann's faithful friend. Okay, Volland produced, some of the most well-known and some of the most expensive, if you try to find them today, rag dolls, or Raggedy Ann. They were usually about 16 inches. They had a long face, and actually, I have this magazine right here. It's an old doll reader, but it has a nice picture of a violin, and if you turn over, it has some of the others. And I will pass this around, you know. See, because unfortunately I don't have a volley hand. Volland. Brown yarn hair. That was a shock for me. I always thought Raggedy Ann red hair, but apparently it wasn't always so. They had button eyes, painted facial features, and they were stamped on the belly, patent September 7th, 1915. Oh, and they had a wooden heart on the inside of their chest. They also produced Uncle Clam, Beloved Belindy, Johnny Mouse, Eddie Elephant, Percy Policeman, Cleddy the Clown, Brown Bear, and Sunny Bunny were some of the other characters they produced. Volland declared bankruptcy in 1934. Exposition Doll Company started producing Raggies then. And they are actually also just about as rare as the family produced because they only made them for a year. They had painted eyes and facial features, triangular nose, only made for a year, but it was because the company withdrew from their contract when Gruelle, or Johnny, the Gruelle family, became embroiled in a copyright suit with the Molly Eye Company for the unauthorized production of Raggedy Ann and Andy. Molly Eye's company. Stories state within a year of Volland's filing for bankruptcy, Molly's began producing Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls without permission. Court battle lasted for 3 years. Until in 1938, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Gruelle family. A month later, Johnny died of a heart attack. Molly Eyes produced Raggedy Ann and Andy's between 1935 and 1938. They had more of a kind of comical cartoon face, if I'm correct. First, they were the first to have the printed heart on their chest. Bodies were structured, allowing them to sit, so bent legs. The legs were not just black, not just red and white stripes, but also multicolored, so forth. And the hair yarn was dark auburn. The triangular nose was usually outlined in black. And they also made 14-inch Baby Ann and Andy's. Georgene Novelties was up next after that, which that is from these in size from 15 inches to 50 inches. Stitched at knees and elbows, allowing them to bend. Few original Georgenes were made with legs of different materials. So that means you could also get vertical stripes. I have a pair of handmade ones with vertical stripes. So they would look like that, or they would have even some with blue stripes. Or, there's different ones out there. Yarn for hair was changed 7 times. From anywhere between strawberry blonde and deep orange. And there's also different variations of mixtures, as in such. This little girl who has very bright red mixed in with orange, which I'm sure it used to be brighter. Oh, and I warn you, this is a Knickerbocker outfit. I just thought she was really cute though. Okay. Tin and plastic button eyes, so we're going into the plastic age now. Most dolls have curved, wavy smiles. That's what I love about them, is the curved wavy line smile. And they also marketed Beloved for Lindy and Awake in the Sleep of Raggedy Ann, which I have a placeholder right here for Awake and Sleep. And you just move the hat over. The tag on them included Johnny Gruelle's own Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls and Georgene Novelties Inc. New York City exclusive license, manufactured, made in the USA. And also I've noticed the Knickerbockers have their tags usually on their clothing. The Georgenes have their tags on their sides. That's also a good way to tell. Okay, Knickerbocker bid on the rights for Raggedy Ann and Andy in 1962. Size ranged from 3 inches to 78 inches. I've seen a Knickerbocker doll Raggedy Ann that could take up my whole entire bed. Red hair and red and white stripes for the legs. Eye, black plastic disc. Smile is a straight line, you know, the more traditional that you're used to seeing. And they also produced Beloved Lindy, Camel with the wrinkled knees. Sorry, I don't have any of those characters. And Raggedy Author, along with other characters. They also made a vast array of products, such as sleeping bags. I see someone back there has a Dress Me Raggedy Ann. And as you see, here's another variation that's, well, in well-loved condition. But you can also take their shoes off. They're made of felt. And you can take their buttons off. They also, and you can just basically find just about anything with Raggedy Ann or Andy on it. They are actually in rivalry, I guess, with almost Barbie with advertisements. And they have silk screened faces, usually, with the plastic eyes. Okay. And in 1982, Warner Communications sold Knickerbocker Company to Hasbro Industries, which is where you get into these. The Hasbro and the Play School companies. The Raggedy's are usually between 12 and 18 inches, silk screen faces, and carry the Play School label. 1993, Applause released a Raggedy Ann, Andy, and a Baby Ann, copying the unauthorized Molly eyes, along with traditional Raggedy Ann and Andy's with the embroidered faces, which you see here. And they range in size from 7 to 36 inches. The tag for the Applause reads, well, I still have one here. So tag, yes. Reads, Johnny Gruelle's efforts to pay tribute to Marcella were well rewarded. Raggedy Ann walked into our hearts hand in hand with her faithful Andy and remains there still. Now, of course, I do have others up here that were not produced by any of these companies. I could not really find much information. Such as this is a Hallmark produced Raggedy Ann. And there's these are little Knickerbockers. And there's also Kenner, or Kenner Raggedy Ann Andes. And I've also found dishes and such. And of course, there are some anniversary ones and some like storybook characters from the Dakin